going over the current state of it. Well, it looked like Adam Silver has to insert himself into this whole situation because for whatever reason, these WNBA owners and these WNBA players cannot figure it out. And the league.
That's not hyperbole. Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner who's been hands-off with WNBA operations for years, has now inserted himself directly into CBA negotiations. When the boss of your boss shows up to clean up your mess, that tells you everything about how badly this is going. The WNBA has 8 days until their January 9th deadline, and right now, both sides are further apart than when negotiations started over a year ago.
The WNBA has been running pretty much on bankrupt tendencies for the last 30 years. These owners has not made a profit. I don't know why these players keep trying to erase the past 30 years. Like, y'all can't just press rewind, fast forward, and speed up till today. So what y'all popping right now, y'all has not ever been popping like this before.
Here's what's actually on the table and why players keep rejecting it. The league's latest proposal includes a $1 million base salary and a salary cap increase from $1.5 million to $5 million per team. That pushes the average player salary to $417,000. For context, that's nearly triple what players earned just 3 years ago. The proposal also offered full player housing, comprehensive health care, and improved travel conditions. But here's where it gets complicated. The revenue-sharing model the league proposed would give players 50% of a specific revenue metric, but that metric excludes media rights revenue and deducts certain expenses first. Under the structure, players would actually receive less than 15% of the league's total revenue, and that's the sticking point.
8 weeks into the season, he already faces a gambling scandal, which we've been covering that on the channel pretty much for the past couple months. It stated an investigation into the Clippers for alleged salary cap circumstance and the league's potential future in Europe. Well, about a month ago, Adam Silver vowed to take on another high-level item on his to-do list, and that is the WNBA collective bargaining agreement.
Silver's involvement signals something crucial that players seem to be overlooking. The NBA has subsidized WNBA operations for 27 straight years. Every single season has run at a loss. The league doesn't have revenue to share because no profit is being generated. When Silver says he's available to do whatever is necessary, what he's really saying is, figure this out before the NBA decides the investment isn't worth it anymore. Look at the timeline. Caitlin Clark entered the league in April 2024, and suddenly ratings exploded. The Indiana Fever averaged 1.2 million viewers per game during the regular season, with their playoff games reaching 3.2 million viewers. That's legitimate, measurable growth, but one breakout rookie doesn't erase 3 decades of financial losses. The owners have been writing checks to cover deficits every single year, and now they're being asked to share revenue that doesn't exist yet.
The WNBA and WBPA and more than a year into negotiations for a new transformational CBA agreement. We all know that deadline is coming up on January the 9th. Now, the results of a second extension as both sides continue to exchange proposals, with sources telling front office sports meetings are taking place almost daily. Players are not feeling hopeful as Silver. So it looked like players is telling.
This is where the conflict of interest gets really interesting. Breanna Stewart, who's quoted in that Frontorf Sports article saying she welcomes Adam Silver's presence, is also the vice president of the Players Union's executive committee. She's one of the primary negotiators sitting across from league ownership, but Stewart also co-founded Unrivaled, the new 3-on-3 basketball league launching this month as a direct competitor to overseas opportunities. Now, think about the incentives here. If the WNBA goes into a lockout, where do elite players go to stay sharp and earn money? Unrivaled becomes the only game in town. Natha Collier, Stewart's co-founder at Unrivaled, is also heavily involved in these CBA negotiations. Some people around the league are quietly asking whether these players actually want a deal done before the season, or if a lockout might serve Unrivaled's interests.
It is not rocket science with what is going on with the current state of the WNBA. Let's get back to the article, man. So the article goes on to say Adam Silver stated, more often than not, we're the ones. Oh, no, I have to believe this is Kelsey Plum. She stated, more often than not, we're the ones that we are willing to compress, and there still aren't big budget. Oh, this is Breonna Stewart, actually. My apologies. Goes on to say, who is also as vice president of the union's executive. Now, there is
The players' union keeps pointing to NBA revenue sharing as the model they want. And the NBA players receive 50% of basketball-related income. That's the standard professional sports model, and it works because the NBA generates $11 billion in annual revenue. The WNBA generated approximately $200 million in revenue in 2024, which sounds impressive until you realize that's less than 2% of what the NBA brings in. Here's the math that matters. If WNBA players got the same 50% revenue share as NBA players, and you divided that among the league's 144 roster spots, the average salary would be around $690,000. That's actually higher than the $417,000 being offered, but that calculation assumes the league breaks even, which it doesn't. Factor in the actual operating losses, and the current proposal starts looking generous rather than insulting.
Unrivaled. At least they think it's going to help. I don't think Unrivaled is going to do very good this year. I just got to be honest. I don't even think I'm going to cover Unrivaled unless it's like some bombshell play or something like that to happen. I don't believe it's even going to be relevant, man. Now, it goes on to say earlier this month, a proposal included $1 million base salary, according to multiple sources familiar with the negotiations. In addition, the league proposed a revenue sharing model that would give players 50% of revenue metric that would not include all revenue and would have some expenses deducted. Under this proposal model, players would end up receiving less than 15% of league's total revenue.
Kelsey Plum said something revealing in December when she talked about these negotiations. She said the players are the ones willing to compromise, and that there are still big budget issues to resolve, but compromise means both sides give something up. What if the players actually compromised? They rejected the initial proposal. They rejected the revised proposal with increased salary caps. They're demanding revenue sharing on terms that would require owners to continue covering massive losses while also paying players as if the league is profitable. That's not compromise. That's asking for NBA money while generating WNBA revenue. The owners did remove some benefits from the proposal, including certain housing stipulations, but that was in response to players rejecting previous offers that included those benefits. When you turn down a deal, you don't automatically get everything from that deal included in the next offered. That's basic negotiation. The players seem to believe that because Caitlin Clark drove ratings up in 2024, they now have permanent leverage, but leverage only works if you're willing to walk away. And walking away from the WNBA means there's no league to come back to.
The latest proposal that the ladies had an issue with. And to me, I don't get why they have an issue with that proposal, because that proposal seemed like that was something reasonable. But something that we have to keep an eye on here, on at least on my channel, is what is Caitlin Clark going to do? Project B is still on the table. Sophie Cunningham said like a few weeks ago that Caitlin Clark wasn't going to do Project B. As of right now, it don't look like it's going to be a WNBA. If there's not a WNBA, does that bring forth the next question that will she potentially take on the Project B offer? I don't know, man. Guys, get down in the comment section right now. Let me know y'all thoughts about that, man. Keep them bells on. I will be back with another one. Till next time, man, shake the headers off. I'm out of here. Peace out.
Here's what makes Adam Silver's involvement so significant. He doesn't insert himself into negotiations unless the situation is critical. The NBA commissioner has an entire league to run, with labor issues, expansion plans, and international growth strategies demanding his attention. For him to personally step into WNBA CBA talks means he's received word that this deal is in serious jeopardy of collapsing completely. Silver said he remains optimistic a deal will get done, and that the fact both sides extended the deadline suggests they see a constructive path forward, but read between those lines. Remains optimistic is diplomatic language for this is a disaster, but I'm trying to save it. The deadline has been extended twice now. The original deadline was October 20, then it got pushed to November. Now we're at January 9th, 2025. And sources tell Front Office Sports that meetings are happening almost daily because both sides know they're running out of time. What happens if January 9th comes and there's no deal? The league can impose a lockout, which means no games, no salaries, and no WNBA season. Players can strike, which has the same result. Either way, the momentum Caitlin Clark built with casual fans who just discovered the league won't stick around through a labor dispute. Sponsors who sign deals based on rising ratings will have out clauses they can trigger. Media partners who bid on broadcast rights will reconsider those investments. The WNBA finally has mainstream attention after 27 years of struggling for visibility, and they're about to blow it over money that doesn't exist yet. Think about Caitlin Clark's position in all that. She just completed a rookie season where she averaged 19.2 points and 8.4 assists per game, won Rookie of the Year unanimously, and dragged the Indiana Fever to their first playoff appearance since their jersey became the best-selling WNBA jersey of all time. Her games were the highest-rated WNBA broadcasts in 2 decades. She did everything possible to grow the league's profile. And now, because veteran players want a revenue share, the league can't afford it. Clark might not have a second season to play. She's on a rookie contract that pays her $76,000, which is the standard rookie scale. Meanwhile, she's making millions from endorsements with Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm. If the WNBA locks out, Clark doesn't lose much financially. She'll do commercials, train privately, and wait for the league to figure itself out. But the league loses everything. Every day without Caitlin Clark on national television is a day the WNBA slides back toward irrelevant. Sophie Cunningham said 3 weeks ago that Caitlin Clark won't do Project B, the new league being discussed as a potential WNBA alternative. But if there's no WNBA season in 2025, she could play overseas. She's already turned down massive offers from international teams because she wants to build her brand in America. She could join Unrivaled, but that's only a 3-month league with limited exposure. Or she could sit out entirely and focus on endorsements, which might actually be the smartest financial move. Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wants to say out loud. The WNBA needs Caitlin Clark more than Caitlin Clark needs the W. She's transcendent enough to build a career without the league. The league is not stable enough to survive without her, and yet the players negotiating the CBA are acting like they have leverage they don't actually possess. Breanna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Kelsey Plum. These are established stars who've been in the league for years. They've earned their status, but their drawing power is nothing compared to what Clark brings. When Stewart plays, the game gets a few 100,000 views. When Clark plays, it gets over 2 million. That's not a slight against Stewart's talent. It's just reality, and reality should inform negotiation strategy. The players' union keeps saying they want to be valued, respected, and paid fairly. That's completely reasonable, but fair pay is relative to revenue generated. The NBA pays its players 50% of revenue because the league generates enough revenue to support that split and still profit. The WNBA is asking players to accept less than 15% of total revenue, because the league literally cannot afford more without going deeper into debt. Unless players are willing to cover the league's operating losses themselves, they need to accept that their revenue share will be lower until the league becomes profitable. That's not disrespect. That's basic economics. Adam Silver knows this. The owners know this. And deep down, the players probably know this too. But they've backed themselves into a rhetorical corner where accepting anything less than NBA-style revenue sharing feels like admitting their worth is less at SO instead of taking a deal that triples their salaries and positions them to renegotiate in 3 years when the league might actually be profitable. They're risking everything on a principle that doesn't match financial reality. The January 9th deadline is 8 days away. If you're Adam Silver, you walk into that negotiating room and tell both sides the truth. The WNBA finally has momentum. Caitlin Clark created an opportunity that won't come around again. Casual fans don't wait through lockouts. Sponsors don't stick around through labor disputes. And if this league goes dark in 2025, it might not come back. So here's my question for you. If you were negotiating this deal, would you take the $417,000 average salary and bet on renegotiating higher in 3 years? Or would you risk a lockout and potentially kill the league's momentum for a revenue-sharing model that might never be financially viable, because those are the only 2 options on the table right now? Drop your take in the comments. Tell me if the players are right to hold out, or if they're about to make the biggest mistake in WNBA history. And if you want to see how this plays out, hit subscribe because this situation is going to get a lot worse before it gets better.